I'm going to just get into the Bible really quick, and then we're going to do some more worship and just keep flowing here. You guys cool with that? I don't really want to leave this place. That was amazing. You can sit if you'd like to, or you can just stand, or you can come to the front, or whatever you guys want to do. You guys doing good? It's going to take me a second to gather myself. You guys are crazy. Well, I'm going to dive into the Word, then we're going to go back in. These guys are going to come up, and we'll just continue encountering the heart of Jesus tonight. But I'm just honored to be here on this Wednesday night, and I'm always blown away. I've been here a couple times last, 2 years or so, and I'm always just blown away by the hunger. On a Wednesday night, here we are, man. You know, you guys are crazy. And it always blesses my heart, and so it's just an honor to be in the house of God with you guys tonight and see your beautiful faces and go somewhere together, you know, in the heart of Jesus, the heart of the Father. My name is Joel. I run a ministry called California Will Be Saved. And we just do this. We take worship to the cities and the beaches and the public squares of our state, and we just enthrone Jesus. We say, Lord, this is your state. This is your generation. Come and have your way. And we preach the gospel, and we invite people to come and know Jesus. And we've been doing this. We've just been on a rampage the last 3 years, and every place we go to, you guys, we just worship and preach the gospel, and God meets it with power. People are getting saved, and they're getting healed, and they're getting baptized in the ocean, and they're getting delivered, and they're getting plugged into the local body, and they're getting activated. And so that's kind of a little bit what do I do, and I don't know. I'm just a dude that loves Jesus and hungry to see him move in our state. And I love the Bible. If you guys have your Bibles with you, you can go to Daniel 3. I hope you all are ready, man. This passage is fire. This is like probably one of the most gangster acts of worship and faith that I've ever seen. I mean, this is crazy. All right, I'm just going to dive into this here. Daniel 3, you know, this is the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, right? Daniel's three friends. And in their time, they're getting threatened. And there's crazy oppression happening in the nation, and Nebuchadnezzar is telling everyone, you know, you got to worship this golden calf. You guys familiar with the story a little bit? It's okay if you're not. Yeah. And it's insane because he's ordering everyone, no matter what their background is, no matter, you know, if they've grown up a Christian or not, they're ordered to worship this false god, okay? And so let's pick it up in verse 16. Nebuchadnezzar is threatening them. If you don't worship, then I'm going to throw you in a fiery furnace. You guys ever had this threatened against you before? Yeah, me neither. I'm going to throw you in a fiery furnace. I mean, this guy is not playing. Verse 16, we pick up, you know, Nebuchadnezzar kind of catches wind of it. And this is their response to him. Oh, Nebuchadnezzar, we have no need to answer you in this matter. If that is the case, our God, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace. And he will deliver us from your hand, O king. And here's this, just pause there. This next line is what I want to hone in on tonight. And I think there's actually a key here to breakthrough for our personal lives, but breakthrough and revival on a corporate level. This next line is like the mic drop, man. These guys are savage. Right? We don't need to answer to you. Our God is surely strong enough, right, to deliver us. The next line, but if not, even if he does not, let it be known to you, O king, that we do not serve your gods, nor will we worship the gold image which you have set up. Boom, mic drop, right? Insane. In the face of being shoved into the fiery furnace. Yeah, we don't We're not compliant. I like what the Message says. It says in the same verse, your threat means nothing to us. Whoa. If you throw us in the fire, the God we serve can rescue us from your roaring furnace and anything else you might cook up. But even if he doesn't, it wouldn't make a bit of a difference, O king. We still wouldn't serve your gods or worship the gold statue you set up. Isn't that fire? All right, I want to pause here. Honestly, you guys, what I'm believing for is a mentality shift in my generation, where we go from kind of this elementary level of relationship with God to, anybody want this kind of faith? But the thing is, like when a baby is born, they are reliant on their parent, on their father, or their mother, right? For their provision and their well-being. And so I want to establish that's not bad. But it takes a level of maturity to come to this place and say, you know what, even if none of the blessings come, even if the promises that I've been promised, right? You guys have been promised things, you have dreams, you have visions, right? There's things we're contending for. It takes a mature person to say, you know what, God, even if I don't see any of that, I'm not gonna bow to the false gods of culture. I'm not bowing to whatever the enemy is throwing my way. I'm not bowing to the lower gods, the false gods, and the false ideologies. I'm sorry. It's like I've graduated past that elementary level, right? Are you guys tracking with me? Yes. And man, this is what I'm believing for. Even if I don't see an ounce. And you guys know, our God is a perfect Father. Every good and perfect gift comes from him. Just buckle up. You serve him. And you lay your life down for him, I hope you're ready for blessing in your life, right? But the heart posture, even if I don't get it, we're not bowing to the false gods, right? I remember when I was, this was like 4 years ago in 2020, the height of the pandemic and fear running rampant and all this craziness, and there were promises that I received from the Lord about revival breaking out prior to that, right? And so I'm believing for these things. God, you said there's going to be revival. You said there's going to be, worship breaking out in the streets, on the beaches. There's going to be baptisms breaking out. My generation is going to be mobilized in worship, and, we're going to reach the lost. All these amazing promises. And faced a lot of disappointment. Actually, in 2019, the campus, I'm from Pasadena, and the campus that is a historic place, dedicated to be, they called it U.S. Center for World Mission. A training ground. Our school was my discipleship school. We met there. We had our classes. We had worship nights. There were promises over this land. It was, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Call and Lou Engle, but their headquarters were there for a long time. He's a spiritual father of mine, and there were promises that he was believing for. And there's a building on the campus called Mott Auditorium, and Mott is my name. And I felt so connected to the kind of the prophetic storyline of this place. 2019, we get kicked out of Mott, right? All of a sudden in our school, we're like a bunch of nomads. We're looking for a home. Kicked out of there. It gets sold to a secular organization. They start doing construction on the campus. I live right next to the campus, and every morning, I wake up and I'm looking, and they're doing construction. They put this ugly pink fence up around the campus, just the ugliest pink you can imagine, right? Every morning I wake up and I'm like, God, man, what happened? Right? I moved here on a word that you're going to send revival, and, this is my auditorium. We're believing for these things. We get kicked out of there, of course. Shortly after that, the pandemic rolls around, early 2020, and it feels like fear is running rampant, and now all of a sudden we're supposed to be isolated, and, we're supposed to stop gathering and stop. At one point, our governor's like, stop singing, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm a singer. This is what I do. And the Lord brought me to a crossroads. I know you guys, I'm just being real. This is our journey, right? I know I'm not the only one. I hope this is relatable. You know, we're holding these things and we're believing for them. They're good things. But the Lord is bringing me to a crossroads. It's almost like he asked me the question, Joel, what's the depth of your faith here? Because, I'm starting to get grumpy, right? I'm starting to get jaded. I'm like, God, what? The pandemic was like the exclamation mark on that whole season. Like, oh my goodness, the disappointment, the discouragement, Coming to this crossroads. Joel, what do you really believe? And I get so kind of fed up with my own grumpiness, right? I was like, I don't want to be 70 years old and I just like jaded and upset and offended. Come on, Joel, I got to move on past this, right? Like, this is not who I am. But it was hard. And I remember the Lord bringing me to this crossroads and I knew I had a decision to make, back to the decision table. It's either every promise that he's spoken is true, or it's not. And if it's not, then forget about it. I'm just going to retire. Do what people do. I don't know what do we do? Or every promise is yes and amen. And it will come to pass. And I was like, Lord, I don't see it. I don't see it happening. This is not what I had in mind, right? But I said, Lord, I'm choosing tonight. Lay aside my unbelief. I'm going to lay aside the doubting and the skepticism, the questions. And I'm choosing to believe, right? And I'm like David, like, Lord, help my unbelief. And then this dream comes to me. And in the dream, my friend had this dream, we're standing on the coast of California and we're worshiping Jesus together. And in the dream, as the worship is going forth, Jesus appears to us in the flesh. He brings my friend to the edge of the water. He's like, do you see the water? Do you hear the sound of it? Do you see what's coming? And the ground shook. And Jesus said to my friend in the dream, the battle in the land of California has already been won. The ground has been prepared. And now is the time for the rains of my spirit. He said those words, my friend said he looked to the ocean and a massive tsunami wave was coming from the ocean and it flooded the whole city. He woke up early in the morning, shaking under the power of God. He sends me the dream. He's like, Joel, I know that wave is symbolic of a wave of God's spirit that's coming to our nation. Right? And that dream catalyzed me right after I just had this moment with the Lord. I'm choosing to believe, Lord, I don't feel this right now. I'm choosing. And that whole thing has sent us on this trajectory, and we've been seeing God break out like crazy. But my point here, I'm sharing that is because I feel like there's these crossroads moments where we have a decision to make. Let's read on in this story of Daniel. Let's pick up verse 25. It just gets better and better, you guys. This is insane. Right? 3:25, Nebuchadnezzar exclaims, look, I see 4 men loose, walking in the midst of the fire. They are not hurt, and the form of the 4th is like the Son of God. Whoa. What is going on here? Like the spirit of wisdom and revelation just came on Nebuchadnezzar, the sinner. He looks like the Son of God. Verse 28 through 30, kind of the end of the passage here. This is Nebuchadnezzar's response, right? Because he's blown away. Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who sent his angel and delivered his servants who trusted him, and they have frustrated the king's word and yielded their bodies that they should not serve nor worship any god except their own. Therefore, I make a decree that any people, nation, or language which speaks anything amiss against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego shall be cut in pieces, and their houses shall be made an ash heap. This guy's so extreme. Because there is no other God who can deliver like this. Then he promotes them in the ranks of Babylon. Okay, so what's going on here? Kind of like they're at a decision table, right? I'm going to throw you in a furnace if you don't worship my God. I want to get to this level of faith. I got all grumpy. I needed a whole season Lord, I repent. Forgive me, my unbelief. These three men of God step up to the plate. Yeah, we're not too concerned about that, Nebuchadnezzar. I mean, God's going to deliver us, but even if he doesn't, we know what we stand for. And then what happens? We just read this here. What's happening is they take a stand. They have a little bit of courage and faith, right? Doesn't mean they didn't go in the furnace. I mean, they went into it, but Jesus is right there with them. And then the heart of Nebuchadnezzar kind of does a whole turn. And he sees the power on display. He sees the miraculous power of the Son of God. And his heart changes. And then all of a sudden, he's like, we're going to worship their God. And the promotion blessing comes on their life, right? Are you guys catching the story here? So my question is man, what if is there one man, is there one woman in this room tonight, in the face of the oppression, the pressure, that will just get so locked in on the face of Jesus that when hardship and trials come, when the enemy tries to take you out, because the enemy is real, and things happen. But is there a man, is there a woman even in this room tonight that will stand up in the midst of that and say, you know what, no, I believe in God. He's stronger, he can even deliver me, but even if he doesn't, I've made up my mind. You're not talking me out of this. It's like an act of worship. These guys are the whole thing was around worship. I just want them to worship the false god because it's their attention, it's their focus, it's their whole world. What captivates their eyes, what captivates their hearts, it's a worship issue. Purity of worship provokes the presence and power of God in our lives. There's this story in Luke chapter 24 where it's these two dudes that had walked with Jesus, right? They'd seen the wonders and the miracles and the bodies raised from the dead. And then Jesus dies. We just celebrated Easter weekend, right? Good Friday. He dies. And they're bummed out. And they're basically what they're doing is they're giving up. They're going back home, back to Emmaus. And they're discouraged and their hearts are heavy. And man, we thought he was the one. We thought he was the Messiah. We thought that he was going to restore our nation. We thought we could find salvation in this one. And he died. And then Jesus just shows up on the road. How does he do that? I don't know. He's God. He can do what he wants. He shows up I guess it's before he resurrected. He shows up on their road. What are you guys talking about? And oh man, this Jesus guy, we thought he was the one. He was going to deliver us. He was going to save us. And we saw all this stuff happen, but he died and we're sad. And Jesus begins to break down the scriptures to basically takes them to Sunday school. Didn't you know that the Messiah was going to have to die? Right? And he opens up the scriptures to them and he starts to explain the prophecies. What was prophesied about the Messiah. He was going to have to die so that he could be raised again. They get kind of to a fork in the road, and the two guys convince Jesus to come and eat with them. And so he stays, and they break bread, and it says the moment that Jesus took the bread and he broke it, it was like the veil lifted off of their eyes, and they saw that it was Jesus. And then in that moment, he vanishes, right? And they're sitting at the table, the two of them, and this phrase has marked me, you guys. This phrase has marked my life. Luke 24, verse 32. They said to one another, "Did not our hearts burn within us? Did not our heart burn within us while he talked with us on the road and while he opened the scriptures to us? Didn't our hearts burn? And then, of course, they get up and they're filled with hope and they go back to Jerusalem. They begin to tell everyone about their encounter, right? Complete 180. I had this vision. We were just in Seattle, and during one of the worship sessions, I had a picture, and I saw this picture of a horizon, and there was this tall, strong figure of a man on the horizon. It was like a silhouette, and he didn't say a word, but he just kind of was standing there, and I was behind him, and he was kind of looking like this. And I was behind him, the horizon and mystery of adventure was beyond him. And he looked back, and it was almost like he said, "Are you coming? Are you coming?" And immediately I thought of Luke 24. Once again, he comes down their road. These are two guys that walked with Jesus. I don't know about you guys. I relate to these guys, right? When I read this story, I'm not like, oh man, these guys are just like, come on, get it together. When I read this story, I'm cut to the heart. Because I've encountered Jesus. I know his goodness. I've had these moments of face-to-face encounter where the fire of his love has burned in my heart. And then I've had moments where I feel like I've lost him, and then I look back at the seasons of my life before God really got a hold of my heart. Kind of up and down. And I see myself in this story. And here's Jesus once again. He shows up in his grace, in his mercy. Here I am. Once again to reveal who he really is. The truth of who he is, right? We have the ideas, we have the preconceived notions of who he is. Once again, in reality, here I am. And I just feel this tonight, you guys. I want to give an opportunity. I feel the presence of Jesus even as we're worshiping. Like I feel him calling this generation. And when I say this generation, I mean everyone alive right now. I feel him calling us. When I saw that figure, I knew it was Jesus on the horizon. Are you coming with me? 6 years ago, I responded. I said, Jesus, I'm giving you everything. Like, I'm no more, right? I want to live for you wholeheartedly. I'm going 100% in. In the last 6 years of my life, I've been the most crazy, life-filled, purpose-driven, meaningful years of my entire life without a doubt. I mean, the Lord has taken me on such crazy adventures across the nations. And I feel this invitation tonight. Yes, it's scary. It's like when Jesus called his disciples, right? He walks up to Matthew. Matthew, follow me. What? Matthew's just in his cubicle job. The next line, Matthew got up and followed him. Wait a second. Something happens in the depths of our soul when we come face to face with the Son of God. No questions asked. I'm following you, Jesus. And I feel like that's what's happening tonight. We're encountering the heart, the love of our Father, the love of the Son, and we're saying, would you draw me? It's like Song of Songs, right? Draw me, and I will come. The last line of that story, come away with me. I saw that picture on the horizon. Jesus, are you coming? Come away with me. So can we all just stand to our feet right now? I want to do this simple, super simple call, you guys. And I saw this tonight as I was preparing, that we're just going to come into an encounter with Jesus. This is already happening tonight. If you're in this room and you've never given Jesus 100% of your life, can you just be bold right now? I'm not going to do this. This is not going to take long. Just raise your hand. Come on. This is amazing. Thank you for being bold. You're saying 100%. I want to give Jesus 100% of my life. Thank you guys for being bold. It's incredible. Oh, this is about to get good, man. The second group of people, you're here, man, I've had these moments, but I've lost my way and I'm battling things and there's things in the way. I need a touch. And I know I got to get 100% right. I know I got to get clean tonight. If that's you, can you just be bold? You're battling something, just raise your hand. You're like, man, I want to respond to that. I want to come all the way. Jesus, I want to come away with you. Take me on your adventure. It gets exciting, you guys. It gets wild. Thank you guys for the show of hands. These guys are going to start to minister. Before we do that, I just wonder if you guys in the front, can you just take I know there's not much space. If you just raise your hand, can you just come to the front right now? Just be bold. I want to pray for you. We're going to go into this moment of just encountering. Can you just come? Amazing. I'm going to lay hands on you. I want to prophesy over you guys. Come on, this is incredible. So good. Keep coming, keep coming. If you have, if there's a golden image, so to speak, in your life that you want to crumble, if you want to lay down at the altar, this is an altar tonight, and it's free for anybody. What happens at the altar is you bring something to die. So before I lay hands on you, before we pray, I want you just you and the Lord right now. Come on, this is your moment. This is amazing. What is that thing you're bringing to die on the altar tonight? This is not just a place where we just kind of sing some songs and we hope for the best. No, we're bringing something to die so that resurrection life can be raised up again in our lives. Are you guys with me? So what is that thing you want to die? Maybe it's an addiction. Maybe it's passivity. Maybe it's complacency. Whatever that thing is, I don't need to tell you. You and the Lord right now, just have a moment. I'm not going to rush this. This is what tonight's all about. Come on, throw it on the altar, and in your mind's eye, just throw that thing down, man. Throw it down, throw it down, throw it down. I'm not going back. Just tell Jesus, I'm not going back tonight. I'm getting free tonight. I'm getting free tonight. Whatever that thing is, lay it down.